What is up, guys? You know who it is. It is your allies behind enemy lines. Ryan and Joey coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines with a division championship, holding it down for all our allies out there. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts now. We are now on Google Podcasts. We know we had a lot of questions about that, so we are there. Make sure you leave us a review. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating as well. That we always appreciate that. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure that subscription button is hit, and we'll ring that notification bell. So as soon as this latest and greatest video drops, you are notified. Joey, it is the best Victory Monday we've had in quite some time, my friend. We are playing those victory trombones out of every possible hole and orifice we can. We are playing them all. Buddy, how are you doing after what was an exciting, cringing, all of the above, all types of emotions Sunday night, man? How are you holding up?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. The bottoms of my feet aren't very well, as I have, like hard tile floors, and I was pacing pretty much all day. I think pretty much all day long. I think I did the most housework. I just had a lot of nervous energy throughout the entire day. I took apart a bed that had been put together another one. I did all the laundry in the house. I cleaned everything. I was just nonstop nervous energy all day. But when the game started, I was just pacing nonstop. I'd stop and watch it play, and then I'd pace around and I'd talk out loud like I was talking to somebody, like, oh, gotta get back there in coverage. You gotta make sure we're doing that. And I was like Rain Man walking around talking to myself. Then I'd stop and watch the next play. And then finally, halfway through the game, my lady's we got this weighted blanket for Christmas. And she said, why don't you put this weighted blanket on? You'll get more of a workout, too. You're walking around with a weight on there, and it might, make you calm down a little bit. So I put the weighted blanket on, and right as I did that, it's like our luck changed, and everything was great after the weighted blanket. It was the perfect. So that weighted blanket might be the lucky weighted blanket. But I'm good. Bottoms of my feet, a little calloused.
Yeah, rightfully so. Like you said, I'm right there with you. We'll jump right into it. Yeah, I felt the same way. I kind of preferred this game to be like the 3 o'clock window or the 4 o'clock Eastern window. I wish it would have been that, but I went out and played some flag football early in the morning just to kind of like get out of the house and get your mind off of it, right? And so I did the same thing. Came home right around 12:30 or so. Watched the Cowboys-Giants game with the wife here, and then after that, it was just like a waiting game. Like I tried to take a nap. I fell asleep for like 10, 15 minutes. Couldn't do it. And then finally the game's getting ready to kick off. And I was like, all right, here we go. Like, do or die. Here it is. And boy, when we started, I was like, oh yeah, this is going exactly how I wanted it to. We're just moving the ball up and down the field, really not getting much of a pass rush from the Eagles. So we're just moving the ball. Antonio Gibson's running the ball well. Alex Smith is finding the open guys. They're making the catches, moving the ball up and down the field. Terry McLaurin catches a nice little short pass for a touchdown. And I was like, wow, okay, here we go. We got some points early. And then we tacked that on with another the field goal. We go up 10-0. And I was like, buddy, this is going to be a blowout. This is going to be over before halftime. They're going to have to, just lay down and let us put their belly. Now, I didn't see it going the way I thought, but they ended up doing that, but not the way I thought it was. But Jalen Hurts, exactly what I was afraid of is kind of what happened. He was able to move around the pocket, get upfield through, right through the middle. Usually is where those open lanes were. The pocket be collapsing around him, and he was able to shoot up the field and make the plays with his feet. We can get to some of the shifty calls against us once again. That first slide that he has against Cole Holcomb, he slides into Cole Holcomb and he gets called for a penalty. And so it was kind of. Like you said it earlier before we got on, it was kind of death by 1,000 cuts because although the defense looked good, not the best they've looked ever, but the offense just could not do anything after that first early onslaught in the first quarter.
Yeah, like you said, it took off like 100 miles an hour. Couldn't have gone better on our first drive. Get our first opening drive, points, touchdown. Yeah. It felt great, just to get that done. And then obviously the Cameron Curl interception on the next drive. We get the ball right there. I'm like, this is going like you said, this is going to be great. All the stress is going to go away. But it's I'm sure we'll get into the later parts of the game. Went on there later here in a second. But if you really look at it though. It was just a lot of key, like you said, a lot of key things that went wrong at bad times. It wasn't like they just started dominating. They didn't have a lot of rushing yards. They didn't have a lot of passing yards. It was third down, penalties. We had the pass interference, I believe, was on Kendall Fuller. They got him halfway up the field. And then we had the holding on Cole Holcomb They got him on another third and long situation. They end up scoring on, and then what RCI Whiteside makes the catch of his life over the middle on a third and long. I mean, those are like, you put those together. Those are basically and then it's just basically the rest is just Jalen Hurts making moves with his feet and running out of the pocket and scoring on short runs, which you can't. Like I said in the show last week, if when you're gonna play someone like that, you gotta rush for like they were doing, but you gotta spy somebody. You gotta hold somebody to spy a quarterback like that. It's gonna cost you in coverage, but hey, your hope is that once they get the pass rushers together, that spy is gonna either be able to see they got there and drop back or make the play. But I think the defense did a decent job. Our offense was not helping them very much after those first 10 points, and but it was just again bad things happening to us at the wrong time. Bad things happening at the wrong time. The penalties on Cole Holcomb. The weird catches, the penalty on Kendall Fuller. It was just bad things happening at a bad time. It's just we can't play football like that and expect to win games. So we got lucky, in that we walked out of there with a victory.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The holding on Cole Holcomb that had nothing to do with the play, that was even a ticky-tacky hold to begin with. I mean, he's holding on the left side of the field, and Jalen Hurts is running to the right side of the field and gets sacked. We knock them probably out of field goal range, and then all of a sudden they're right back in there, and I believe they scored a touchdown off that drive. And so, like you said, it was just the wrong mistakes at the wrong time. There was quite a few holding calls that weren't called on the Eagles. There was there at the end in like the fourth quarter, I mean, it looked like they jumped off sides like 3 or 4 times and they never got called. It was wild. Unless they just were timing that snap count perfectly. It was wild to see, but right there at the end of the second half, or excuse me, the first half, the second quarter, we get that amazing catch by Logan Thomas. I tweeted from our account that he put that defender on a fat head. He just went up and just, he mossed that dude. I mean, that was the definition of a mossing. Goes up, gets the ball, lands hard on his back, and just pops right back up. And I was just like, damn, man, that was an NFL.
It leaves Terry McLaurin hanging. And he leaves Terry McLaurin hanging.
That was funny. That was funny. But I mean, because they brought up obviously how he's a quarterback, got drafted as a quarterback, and then shifted to tight end, and they just didn't know how he was going to be as a blocker, be as a tight end. But I mean, that was an NFL catch by an NFL tight end, so no question about it there. We've been all over Logan Thomas all year, and then we go to the second half, and Doug Peterson had alluded to it earlier this week, and I think he did so for a certain reason. They bring in Nate Sudfeld, and we just weren't able to really generate any kind of offense in that second half. Anytime Alex Smith was moving outside the pocket, it just looked like it physically hurt him to move. It hurt me physically to watch him try to run.
Move, period.
Yeah. And so I think that's why in the first half we had so much success, because like I said, there wasn't a big pass rush. The offensive line was playing pretty well. But there in that second half, especially towards the end, I think when they felt like, hey, we actually have a chance to win this game, we're going to have to get after this guy. And that's exactly what they were doing. And so he wasn't able to just sit back there and pick his spots and dump them off. That's the other thing too, is I don't even think he's looking for any kind of passes over like 20 yards down the field. Like it used to be like, okay, that's not open. Where's my check down? Now it's like, snap the ball. Where's my check down? It's tough because he obviously, I don't think he has any strength to plant off that back leg to make those passes. But that really limited our offense quite a bit. Antonio Gibson, 19 rushes for 75 yards. He was getting some good chunk yardage. I feel like the running game wasn't too bad. J.D. McKissick kind of struggled in the passing game, dropping a couple balls he should have caught. But as far as that goes, my original point I was going to get to was Doug Peterson bringing in Nate Sudfeld, where he had alluded to it earlier this week and said, hey, Nate might see some snaps. If it's a spot that we think we can get him some looks, we're going to do so. And I think he did that for a couple reasons. Either A, he was like, we're going to be getting blown out, so it's not going to matter at that point, so who cares? Or B, I'm just trying to lose this game either way. And which is crazy. I mean, we've seen Jason Kelsey come out. We've seen the clips of him saying, you play to win the game. The old Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. And there's no other reason to be on that field other than to win. And I honestly, I said to you, I was like, look, Nate Sudfeld, he's going to come out here and he's going to beat us. Like, that's just how it's going to happen. I just see this happening. Well, thank God that guy stinks, because that was not going to happen. As many options as as many chances we tried to give him, he just wasn't doing anything with the ball. He was just giving the ball right back. We were playing hot potato. Like, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. So thankfully for that, because that really, the way we could not move the ball, and we're just 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. Luckily, they were doing the same thing, but I was really, really getting nervous once that time rolled around.
It was, and and the whole third quarter. I mean, nobody scored anything in that third quarter, as you said. We got that that touchdown. It's a lot of things I was thinking about, and I want to say. So many thoughts raced through my head watching this game. Chris Collinsworth, someone who I don't, say I should say quote unquote like very much, just kind of just how he is. But I almost compare him to like a Dr. House type of character. He just kind of tells it how it is too much to the point where it almost makes him sound like a dick all the time and a little cocky and arrogant. And but he was like the perfect narrator of the game last night. I mean, he could just everything he was saying was just it was speaking out as he was saying. And the point where Washington right before they got the ball back, where they did a 3-and-out, and they got the ball back right before half and scored that touchdown. Oh, this is a big point right here. This is changing the game, and it was right. It did change right there because nobody did nothing in the third quarter. And like you said, we had that McKissick fumble, and or was it like the catch, the best interception of our lifetime that you've ever seen a guy make, off that deflected catch, and then they go for it on fourth there, and we hold them there, and then after that is the last time we see Jalen Hurts. Now I've read and seen so much going over this decision, and I've thought about it from so many different angles. I even saw Peter King talk about it on the analyst. Or a little while on the NFL Network, and he's talking about how he feels like Doug Peterson like broken written rule by coaches of competitiveness, and how you don't when a pennant's on the line, when things like that, or it's a game that matters for some teams, two teams' futures, you play the best you can to win. And at the same time, that's one way of looking at it, and another way of looking at it is You're worried about yourself. This is you. You don't care about this other two teams. You're worried about your Philadelphia Eagles organization. We know he knows what you have in Jalen Hurts. I mean, how do you guys feel? I mean, I'll ask you right now. What would you give for Jalen Hurts next year?
I still have some questions about him, but I mean, it wouldn't be a whole lot. There's other guys I'd give a lot more for, but would I like to have him? Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think he's worth a first round pick for somebody? A team? Do you think somebody would give a first round pick for Jalen Hurts right now?
I think somebody would be more inclined to give up a first-round pick for Carson Wentz.
Well, there you go. Either way, he knows what he has there in Jalen Hurts. He knows what he has. The NFL. That's why. Why do you think everybody wanted him in there?
What you're trying to say is he knows he's made up his mind about. He doesn't have any questions one way or the
not
other.
Not only that. He hasn't peaked. He hasn't peaked at his worth, either for his organization or for another organization. You bring him in there and he loses that game or gets hurt, and or whatever. You win nothing. You got nothing to gain out of that. You already have the maximum value you have and got what you want from Jalen Hurts. All you can do in that situation is lose. Is either make him go out there and throw 6 interceptions and look stupid and decrease that value, or get him hurt, or you have nothing to gain for him personally in that situation. So for him, he made the best decision for his team, and plus, Nate Sudfeld wanted to see what he had in there. What else do I have here in the back? I know Carson Wentz is not going to play, so I might as well throw it into this guy. So a lot of decisions could go in why he did it, or the draft pick, or whatnot. But whatever, nobody has, the players that are on the field were playing to win. The players are on the field, they weren't just laying down, letting the people run over there. So as Kelsey can say, if you were out there playing to win, then all you can do is go out there and play yourself to win. So I think, it does, people say, does it taint your victory a little bit? No, not in my opinion, not at all. Our team went out there, we competed, we won the game, we won the division, and we fought through so much this season. So for him to make that decision, and for anyone to think that it was, it's to hurt the credibility of the game or whatnot, is just not true.
Well, see, that's a thing too. It was what you said is like, it's still obviously like we're still going to hang the banner. We're still division champs. Does it taint the victory? I don't think so, because of how much Alex Smith has overcome, because how much Ron Rivera has overcome, how much this organization, from Dan, right under Dan, I don't want to include Dan Snyder, even though he's the owner, down because of what the culture that Dan Snyder allowed to happen, and just kind of the losing mentality that was built around this team. We were able to flip that on its head. Were we still a 7-9 team? Yeah, but still, somebody had to win that division, and it was us. So we overcame so much that at the end, a team that we assume was tanking, or we don't know, like you said, whatever reasoning Doug Peterson had, that doesn't taint the victory, because it was such a long road to get here. We go through the midseason injuries with Alex Smith, we go through the Dwayne Haskins deal. So as far as what we've had to overcome to get to this point, just on our own, It doesn't taint it. To be able to be in that position, you know what I mean? To be in that position to win and you're in says more about the team than it does about this final game. That's the other thing too, is the only reason this is such a big deal is because it was a Sunday night game. If this was the 4:00 game, nobody talks about it. Nobody says a word. It's like, well, that was weird, but they're not paying attention to that. They're focused on Green Bay and Chicago or whoever that Sunday night game ends up being. We saw Cliff Kingsbury coach probably one of the worst games I've ever seen, and nobody's making a peep about it because it was a 4:00 game when there were 7 other 4:00 games going on where he just made terrible decision after terrible decision after terrible decision. And like I said, nobody's talking about it. Why? Because it was mixed in with everything else. The only reason is because it was such on the biggest, broadest stage that is Sunday night football when you're the only game going. It is for a division championship. And so that's why it was such a big deal. Like I said, if it's any other game, 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock, not even mentioned. So, that's the other part of me that's like, who really cares? I don't. If Jalen Hurts stays in that game, do I think we lose? Yeah, I do. I think if Jalen Hurts stays in that game, I think we lose. So thank goodness Nate Sudfeld came in, because the way we were not able to move that ball and the way Jalen Hurts was able to move the ball with his legs really worried me. And so the fact that he wasn't in there, I think was a huge, a huge deal for the outcome. And that worked out in our favor.
I don't know if we lose. I mean, I think we kicked the field. They kicked the field. If they're playing to win, they kick the field goal and tie it up at 17. If we run the ball and get it down there, we still have, I would say it's not to say we lose. They definitely, I think their chances of win definitely do increase with the Hurts in their base and Sudfeld. But, yeah, I mean, and looking at his, I mean, people keep flashing up his stats, and it's like, oh, he was 7 of 20 for like 50 yards and, he threw an interception. But what he did with his legs alone, like you said, was what made him a threat. But also, what also made him a risk. If you look at him from a Philadelphia Eagles standpoint, you go out there, you tear an ACL, you look like the dumbest coach in the entire NFL. Like, what the heck do you have your prized, future, maybe future quarterback doing out there in a meaningless game, running around getting chased by Chase Young and this monstrous defense that are fighting for a playoff spot and destroy him. He would have been butchered by the Philadelphia. I mean, he's getting butchered either way. It's one of those decisions that it's always going to be half people are going to hate you, half the people are going to like you.
Well, yeah, I mean, hindsight's gonna be 20/20 regardless, because if they leave if they leave Jalen Hurts in there, and he wins the game, then wow, Doug Peterson's so great, he's a genius. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. So yeah, I mean, and if in this case, what he actually did do, and they ended up losing, it's like, wow, what was he doing? He's such a bonehead. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. And like you said, they flashed Jalen Hurts' stats, 7 of 20 for however many yards and interception. I'm a big proponent of, you can't just look at the box score. Like, if you're just reciting the box score, all you're telling me is you're not watching any games. You're not watching the game, because the box score doesn't describe everything. Does it tell you what a guy did as far as putting up the numbers? Absolutely, 100%. But as far as the impact on the game, you can't tell from that. So much like Chase Young for a lot of the season. He wasn't getting the sacks, wasn't getting, he obviously started getting some fumbles and taking them back to the house, whatever. But the way he was impacting games and the way they would have to go away from him, the way they'd have to game plan around him, that doesn't show up in the box score. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. How a guy affects a game and how a guy can change a game. I mean, you're telling me that Jalen Hurts being 7 of 20 for 59 yards and interception can't change that game in one play? Absolutely he can. So that's not an excuse of saying, oh, he wasn't even playing that well to begin with. So that's one of my big deals is you can't just look at the box score. You have to actually see the game flow, the way the game is going, and things like that. And I'm sure, I know you probably agree with a lot of that too. So, it is what it is. It's Victory Monday. We're celebrating division championship. We're on to Tampa Bay, and I couldn't be happier. I don't know what your game day gear was, but I actually went with the Chris Cooley, the only white jersey I have, the Chris Cooley white jersey. I do have a RG3 one, but I couldn't bring back the RG3 Omen with Alex Smith back there. So I went Chris Cooley jersey, underneath it the 2012 Division Champs T-shirt that we got. So I had some good mojo going there, I felt, and so that was my game day gear for yesterday. But I felt good. Like I said, I still feel good. I'm still gonna run my mouth like we were 11-5 or 13-3. The fact that we're 7-9, who cares?
It's all in comparison. Everything is in comparison. To a poor man, $10 is a lot of freaking money. To a team that's been starving for victories and for championships and for some type of success, this is enormous for our organization. It's for some teams like it feels like not even this. The Patriots going to make the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. But usually it's like for or a team like the Steelers. They made the playoffs again. They do it all the time. It's not a big deal, but it's in comparison to what we've been through and what we've done, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal what we've done. So, I was thinking, you bring up Chase Young and how he gets hidden in the stats. You know what I really think changed his season is after he made that bonehead play against Detroit Lions. I think he kind of had a little monstrous start, that first game. We kind of tapered off there during our 1-5 start for a while there. And then against Detroit, we had that play where he got that, personal foul at the very end of the key moment. And after that, it's like he owned it up to it in the locker room and made a story about it. And after that, it's like he was unstoppable force. So like he was in every game, he did something that wrecked shop on defense. So I think it was just that, making a mistake and learning from it. And it's a difference between someone like that who does it and becomes great and versus someone that does it and uses it to, destroy themselves or fizzle out. And I love that last night they were talking about, in the commentary about talking about Jack Del Rio and who he compares him to. And I don't know if you saw that or not, and said that the only person that he could compare him to, that young with that much of a leadership role in that locker room is Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
That is insane that we have someone like that to build, our defense around, our whole team around when you have someone like that, because it gets everybody fired up and everybody on board to want to go out there and compete for him. But yes, I could not be happier. I was rocking that Chase Young jersey I had yesterday. My kids were rocking the Montez Sweat jersey. That 1-2 punch where Sweat threw himself on the ground for that Sudfeld, fumble and knocked it to Chase Young was, again, just electricity on that defense. Just things like that we have not seen in so long that we've been craving for our defense. So hats off to our young gun safeties, Cameron Curl and Jeremy Reeves, who both had interceptions yesterday. It was a great victory. We did what we did. Heroic performance by Alex Smith. As you said, we looked at it as someone who could not move out of the pocket if he needed to, or if he had to, he would fall over or barely, get mobile. But what a gutsy performance, knowing that he was the best option, to go out there and we witnessed it. I'm glad that was on stage too. We can look at that at one point, look at the negatives, and look at the positives. He was out there with a gutsy performance to lead a team to a division title. Sometimes it's been the omen I said at the very beginning of the season. I don't want to act like I'm throwing it in someone's face, but sometimes these stories write themselves. Alex Smith does the redemption, comes back, and wins the division for the Washington football team. And now we're in the playoffs. Who knows what's happened? I know Kyle Brandt was saying he had the upset bug that was getting more and more this morning, thinking about the matchup next week. I'm sure we'll get into in our preview bug, but we like stationary quarterbacks is all I got to say.
We absolutely do. We absolutely love the guys that just like to stand back there. I want to touch on a couple other points too before we wrap up. I am glad, like you mentioned Chris Collinsworth. I enjoy listening to Chris Collinsworth when he's talking about football, but sometimes he's morphed into a character of Chris Collinsworth from Sunday Night Football, and that's when he kind of gets like, a little tough to listen to. But the fact that they were, they're like, yeah, Chase Young is really good, but you got to look at Montez Sweat. He's probably one of the top pass rushers in the league too. You got to check out Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, two guys that are in the middle just absolutely stuffing the run. Maybe they're not getting sacks over and over again, but they're stuffing the run. They were really talking about they were talking about Cameron Curl, how great he's been so far this season as a 7th round pick. Jeremy Reeves, that dude just runs full speed directly into somebody. I don't think he tackles anybody. He just runs right into it. You know what I mean? Like when you see two toddlers running or something like that. Like the fierce of how he hits people for not being that big of a dude. Like I'm telling you, he just runs as hard as he can and just throws his body into you. It's great to see. He doesn't mind lowering a shoulder, and neither does Cameron Curl. They both got good hands. They'll both pick off a ball. They're both very athletic, so I'm very happy with that.
That whole defense, it's like the intensity of that defense. Everyone, it's infectious. Everyone wants to play to this certain. It's like it reminds me of those Ravens defenses. I was old enough to remember the Bears defense. How it was just like on the field, just like a monster was on the field. It's like they're just feeding someone to this monstrous thing, and that's how this team is developing this defense. And I hope this mentality continues to grow.
Yeah, it's like everybody on that defense wants to be the next guy to make the big play. Everyone wants to make the next big hit. Like everyone wants to make that game-changing tackle, that game-changing deflection, interception, whatever. And it's awesome. Like I said, it's super infectious. It's great to see Cole Holcomb, a couple bad penalties, but I still, the way he gets after it is great. When he picks up another grown man and just holds him there, and Jalen Hurts is kicking and
Chris
swimming.
Collinsworth said, like what I do with my grandson. That's what I do with my grandson.
And so, I love seeing that. John Bostic getting out there. I still, big fan of his. And then Kaliki Hudson. I mean, he'll get after it. He's a guy that you don't hear his name often. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be starting a ton of games for us. He's in there because Pierre Lewis is out. But still, I mean, like I said, it's infectious. Whoever's in there wants to be the guy that makes the big play. And so that's what I love to see. The one thing I didn't love so much is how much they kept bringing up the Giants. How much it was like, oh, the Giants fans, oh, the Giants got, if you're in New York, it's like, who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it's what the Giants did has no meaning on this game unless the Redskins lose. But it's if the Redskins or excuse me, Washington, if Washington football team wins, what they did literally does not matter. They just got another win in that win column. That's all. So why are we not focusing on what Washington is doing? And stop focusing on what's going on in New York or what the Giants are feeling.
It's the drama. It's the director.
It's so stupid.
It's produced. That's what you call produced football. That's the part of the drama. It's the drama that they always got to bring into it. That's why the instant they, if the Cowboys are playing, every time something goes wrong, who's the first person they flash on there? Jerry Jones. Ooh, let's see how Jerry thinks about this one. Ooh, or after a player drops the game-winning catch they have on the sideline, their heads in their laps, the camera's right on that. It's the drama of the game. That is why they do it. That's why so many people eat it up, and that's why people get so enraged on Twitter over it as well, or any kind of social media platform. You start talking about any topic, and you're gonna get some people out there that they get fired up. So just remember, guys, you are a brand out there, and you want to maintain respect at all times. It's good. Oh, it's okay to have opinions, but just respect other people's as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's got opinions. No, everyone thinks theirs is right. Everyone thinks everybody that's opposing their opinion is wrong. So, but yeah, you definitely are a brand. You got to represent yourself and represent whatever brand that is. It's true. And you might be representing other brands that you came in contact with, and you got to make sure that you're not ruining their brand. But
yes, exactly. You want to make sure just keep it professional, guy. Keep it classy. The one thing I always like to say is when I talk to people, my kids, my students, whatnot, is lesson of life. When I had employees that that worked for me on social media, whatnot, it's all keep it classy. Just keep it classy.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because you never know when you're going to circle back around and maybe find that person again in a different circumstance. So. But anyway, enough for life lessons hour. We'll wrap it up here unless you have anything else. Joey, do you have anything else you want to hit on?
I just want to say what a great feeling. This is the coffee. I didn't even have it. I didn't even have coffee this morning. I had reheat coffee because I had to go buy coffee because I was out of coffee. So I had the reheat pot yesterday coffee, but it still tasted like the best damn coffee I've ever had. The birds were singing songs. I could actually hear words. But not only were they whistling, they were actually singing songs outside. And when I went outside, not only were they doing that, they were dancing. They had synchronized dances across my power lines as they were singing songs to me in different languages. And they were in different languages. It was great. It was a great. All I'm saying is, what a beautiful day to wake up and be a Washington football team fan. After all we've been through as this ups and downs of the seasons within each game, we can enjoy this. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it. We are division champs. It just means nothing but great things for our franchise. We're gonna we're gonna continue to, it's a work in progress. This casserole, good enough to eat for this season. I'll tell you that much. It's gonna feed the family for this season. We're all gonna eat it, and we're all happy with what we got. So hats off to the boys for fighting all year long. And let's just let's go see if we can make some madness in the playoffs. You never know.
Yeah, let's shock the world. No one's gonna expect us to win. We're 7-point underdogs at home. Let's go shock the world. You never know what's going to happen. But Washington football team, they are 1-0 in winning divisions. They are 1-0 in 2021, and they are 1-0 in winning division, being division champs since my son was born. I don't know if that's coincidence or not. We shall see. But yeah, we'll like I said, we'll wrap it up here. We'll have obviously our show on Friday previewing Saturday night primetime. We go from 0 primetime games from week 1 to week 16 to back-to-back primetime games in week 17 and the first round of the playoffs. That's a wild ride. But you know, we're 1-0 in primetime games too. How about that? 1-0 in primetime games this season. I love to see
2-0. We beat the Steelers too.
That wasn't a primetime game. That was like a 4:00 start.
That was a primetime game. It was dark when I was dancing.
Dark.
It was dark outside, man. When it's dark outside, you know, it's prime time.
That was fun. Oh man, you just equate. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, hey, if you equate prime time with it being dark outside, then yes, we are 2-0 when it comes to prime time.
Okay, we're 2-0 when it's dark outside.
Oh man. But so yeah, let's see if we can keep it a 3-0. Like I said, we'll have our preview show out Friday as we always do. Again, check us out on Apple Podcasts, now on Google Podcasts. You can check us out on SoundCloud at Allies Behind Enemy Lines. All 3 of those areas. Right here on YouTube at Allies Behind Enemy Lines. Make sure you subscribe on any and all platforms you can. Ring that notification bell here on YouTube. And yeah, check us out on Twitter at AlliesBEL. We're always tweeting out, having some fun, you know, tweeting out random things, random thoughts that come to our mind. But until Friday, y'all take care. We are going to enjoy the best victory week we've had since 2015. We'll you know, we'll live it up for the next 4 or 5 days. We'll have old Tommy Boy and all his crew coming to Washington D.C. next week. I hope we stick with the all whites. I love the all whites.
It's in our home jerseys, though. I think they can do whatever we want, us being home jerseys, but we might as well. The fan base wants it. They know what they know what we want.
And we used to wear white at home for like the last 30 years. So I mean, up until we started wearing the maroon and gold pants. I mean, let's stick with the all white. We're 3-0. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'd love to see the all whites at home. So
I want Tom.
Tell Tom I'm coming for him.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, love the energy. Keep that energy, Chase Young. But like I said, until Friday, we'll see you guys then. Take care. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all then.